Oh, welcome to Sun and Moon Yoga's YouTube channel. I'm Annie Moyer, and this short practice this morning I've called When It's Just Too Hot. So as I am broadcasting this, it is predicted to be 97 degrees today with a feeling temperature of higher than 100, and that's hot. And there doesn't seem to be any break in sight. And we've been having this heat wave now for several weeks here in the DC area. And so I've been thinking a lot about what it means to have this physical heat that feels overbearing, and then how that corresponds to what we're seeking to do in yoga practice. We have a lot of terminology in our lexicon about heat being internal and associated with unwanted emotions and situations. We talk about being hot under the collar when we're angry. Our anger is reaching a boiling point. We talk about, even at the level of state-sponsored aggression, we talk about hot shooting wars. And when we describe when we've reached the point where it's just too hot and our emotions boil over, we call that a meltdown. And even in some religious tellings, we read about the place that is the opposite of heaven as a very hot place. And so if you are considering the historical origins of the yoga practice, what is described as our endeavor is really, in my estimation, a sort of an effort to reduce our mental temperature, to take the busyness, the heated agitation of the mind, and simmer it down. And if we are looking at the practice as a whole, as not so much about pursuing the physical forms, rather than pursuing the physical forms as a way to shift our mental forms, then what we're really doing is building up an ability to stay cool in the face of triggering heat, to build up our ability to respond to a heated environment, to a hot circumstance, with cooler heads prevailing, with an attitude of kindness and compassion and equanimity, patience. And all of those things happen when we are level-headed and cooled down. So to pursue the physical forms just for the sake of a physical form that's proscribed doesn't really quite get us there. We are called upon, when circumstances are overwhelming and heavy and hot, to take this instrument of the physical form and do something that helps us diminish the mental heat, the emotional agitation that feels hot inside. So to begin, come onto your back, and that's where we will spend a good portion of this morning's short practice until we come up and finish in seated forms. So on your back, separate your feet as wide as the mat. Take your arms out and bend at the elbows like a T shape or a cactus shape. And then let the knees rest in against one another. And it's, in certain ways, a sort of gesture of surrender. We can't do anything about the weather. Never have been able to, and never will be able to. Okay, well, there are certain things we can do regarding climate change, and that's a different conversation. But today we can't do anything about these 97 plus degrees. But we can do something with our physical form in the midst of this heat. And we can most certainly do something with the mental form. So, in this gesture of surrender to what we cannot change, we turn inward to the breath as it shifts the form of the body. With an inhale, we can let the belly fill and rise up. And with an exhale, we can allow it to soften, and we can feel the lower back begin to release down toward the tail. On the inhale, we can feel not just the belly rising, but the whole canister of the torso expanding, filling the back side of the rib cage into the floor. And a long, slow exhale. And now very slowly, keeping your legs just like they are, raise your forearms up and rotate at the elbows around the upper arm until your palms are facing the floor. They don't have to go all the way down to touch. Inhale, lift the forearms, take them backwards again. Exhale, rotate them forward and down, and just do that a few times. And you'll feel some resonant rotation in the shoulders and the chest and collarbones narrowing in a little bit. You might feel the lower back shifting shape. You might notice the hips eager to roll back and forth, and you can add that movement intentionally and emphasize it a little bit. Everything is slow and deliberate in service of cooling down, being at ease. And then pause the next time the forearms are raised, you're back in your cactus shape. And then open up the knees. Take your arms down, straighten them back overhead, and rock your knees from side to side as your head rotates the opposite direction. Whichever way your knees are falling, turn your head the opposite way. Tuning into slow and steady breaths and letting that pace dictate the pace of your physical form in motion. And then back to center. And on your next exhale, take your arms up and down by your sides. And now stretch out your legs so that your heels are rooted down on the floor with your feet flexed. And then point both feet forward and pull them back as your heels dig in. And then back and forth, quicker and quicker and quicker until you feel your body sloshing on the floor simply by virtue of what your feet are doing. So there's no effort in any place in the body except in the feet. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then without forcing yourself into stillness, just allow the feet to stop and flop to the sides. And then bring the feet back together again, flexing at the ankle joints, and slosh again. Go as fast as you can. Notice if your legs start to want to lift up and get involved in the conversation. Let them stay settled. Let the movement just be initiated at the feet and the ankle joints. And then pause and let everything flop out to the side. The legs may roll to the side as the feet turn out. And then one more time, bring the feet up, and slosh back and forth. One more long, slow, steady breath, and as the exhale completes itself, let the movement fall by the wayside and pause and breathe. And now raise the arms again up and back overhead, keeping your shoulders and your hips on the ground. Walk your feet over to one side and slide your upper torso and your arms over to the same side. So you've made a parenthesis mark with your whole body, fingers to toes. Feel the stretch on the long, open side. And whichever side you moved to, find the side that's on sort of on the top. So if you moved your legs and arms to the right, take your right hand and pull the arm that's on top, the left hand, over a little further. So if your arms and legs are to the right, your right hand is pulling the left. And then release, go back to center. On your exhale, sweep the arms up and down and do that 2 more times before we do the other side. Inhale, rising up through the arms, hands and fingers. Exhale, dropping down. 1 more. And then next inhale, leave the arms in place overhead and slide the feet and legs over to the other side. Same with the upper torso and the arms. Grab the hand or wrist of the arm that's on top of the curve and pull it a little further over and breathe. And release back to center. And take the arms and release them down, back to your sides. Bend your knees now, feet to the floor. If you have a block handy, go and grab it. If you have a blanket handy, grab it, or a pillow or a sofa cushion. Anything will work that helps you raise your hips into a gentle bridge pose and then slide whatever is going to help you keep that lift underneath your lower spine. So not in the curvy part of the lower back, but below that toward the tail, just beneath the sacrum. So the sacrum and the very bottom part of the spine are resting on some sort of lift. So it's a supported bridge pose. Now take the arms out to the sides, palms facing up. Roll your shoulders back and feel your chest rise up, a puffed up heart. And as you breathe, can you feel the expansion in the back plane of the body? Now bring your feet right up next to each other. Press one foot down firmly and pull the other knee into the chest and send that leg up toward the ceiling. It doesn't have to go all the way straight. As it will go is as straight as it should be. Slow and steady breath. And now take tiny little circles with that leg in the air, tiny ones. So the bigger the movement, the hotter the heat. So keep it small. And then reverse the direction. And then pause, bend the knee, bring that foot back down to the floor, stand it right next to its partner, and then press the other leg up, pulling the knee in, and then lifting the shin. Pressing up strongly through the heel. How straight should your leg be? As straight as it can be. And then circle, tiny circles, small, cool movements. Other direction. And then pause at center. Bend the knee, draw the knee in, step the foot back to the floor. Take your arms now and raise them up toward each other, palms facing in. Lace your fingers together. Flip your palms, press them up toward the ceiling, and then take the arms back behind you. And breathe. And then release the arms and then just rest them down by your sides. Pull both knees in now. And if your block or your blankets or your cushion, whatever's underneath you, is grabbable, then grab it. If it isn't, just press your backs of your hands down into it and stretch both legs up. Slow, steady breaths. Take the legs out apart from each other, keeping them as straight as they will be. And then bend your knees, keep them wide, bring the feet together, and draw the knees in. We'll do that 2 more times. Adding breath coordination, exhale, straighten the legs up. Inhale, widen them apart. Exhale, bend the knees, bring the feet together. Inhale, knees together. Once more, exhale, straighten the legs up. Inhale, open them wide. Exhale, bend the knees, feet together. Inhale, knees together. And then step your feet back down to the floor. Press them down. Raise your hips just enough so you can slide the prop out from underneath. And then slowly lower the hips back down. And once you get there, hands to the belly, take a resting breath. And then roll onto your side. Start with your arms overhead. So one arm is a pillow and the other arm is right on top. And straighten the legs right down the line of your torso. So you have one long, even plane. Now, take the top leg and slide it 1 foot behind the bottom leg. So now foot is behind foot. Now take the bottom leg and swing it in front of you. And take your arms and swing them in front of you. You can put your head down on the floor. Take the top leg and swing it a little bit behind you. And then open up your top arm like you're opening a clamshell, up, 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 up to the ceiling, and roll it back behind you as the shoulder descends to the floor. Now, what was your bottom arm, which is now your front arm, rotate it down toward your forward leg, and you can angle the torso down a little bit, and then turn your head away from the front leg and arm. And you're essentially doing a triangle pose on your back. Slow, steady inhale. Slow, steady exhale, keeping things cool. And then on your next slow, steady exhale, raise the backward arm, bring it back, let it meet the other arm, palm to palm. And then slide your legs back together. Bring the arms overhead. And then roll onto your belly and over to the other side. So we'll repeat this reclined triangle pose on the second side. Get the body in a nice straight line. Take the top foot and leg, slide it behind the bottom. Breathe. And then take the arms in front of you. Put your head on the ground. Take the bottom leg out in front of you and the top leg a little further behind you. And then open up your arms like a clamshell and roll the shoulder back to the floor. Take the arm back behind you. And then attention again on the forward arm. Tip it down to reach the forward leg and reach back behind you, turning your head toward the back arm. And slow, steady breaths. Here comes my visitor. Hello. Another long, slow, steady breath. And as the exhale arises, adjust the arms. Back arm lifts back up and over to the front hand. And then the legs come together. Arms back overhead. And pause for a breath. And then take the top arm down by your side and bring your hand in front of you and press yourself slowly up to sit. So sitting legs crossed, nice and tall. Take a sweeping breath in as the arms rise. Stay lifted and then tip over all the way to one side. So come onto your elbow, lift the opposite hip, lift the knee, stand the foot on the floor, hang your arm overhead. And then while maintaining this sideways stretch, take the hip that's lifted and slowly drop it toward the floor. The elbow that you're leaning on can lift up as you press your palm down. And again, maintaining the sideways stretch, you can let the knee now relax as far down as it will go. And breathe. And then come back up. Nice and tall. Over to the other side. All the way over, leaning on the elbow, lifting the hips. Stand the foot on the ground as the knee comes up. Hang your arm. Stay here for a breath. And then slowly let the hip that's lifted return to the floor as the knee starts to fall out sideways and the bottom elbow rises, pressing into the palm. Maintaining the sideways stretch, the lateral body opening to breath and presence. And then back upright. Inhale, both arms up nice and tall. And as you exhale, twist to one side. And inhale, reach up. And exhale, twist to the other side. And inhale, reach up. And then float the arms down. Come forward, folding down, hang your head, round your back. Rest your arms wherever they're comfortable, anywhere at all. And then slowly rise up, keeping the back body puffed up nice and wide, fully present. Bring your hands behind you, fingertips pointing forward, lean back. And puff up the chest. Inhale, look to the sky. And exhale, Come back up neutral. Do that again, fold forward and round. And then rise up slowly, puffing up the back body until your head comes back on top of the spine, sitting tall. Bring your hands behind you, fingers forward, lean back, puff up the chest, look up. Now, while you're here, switch the cross of your legs. And then push yourself back up to neutral and fold forward again. Arms down, head down, neck long, jaw soft, breath full. And come back up. Sit in neutral for a beat. Hands behind you, fingers forward, lean back, press into the palms, puff up the chest, open the heart. Shoulder blades draw toward each other, seeking the midline of the spine as your gaze is lifted. And then last time, coming up through neutral, rounding forward. And then back up, leaning back, hands to the floor, heart toward the sky. And then back to center. And rest your hands anywhere they're comfortable. Sitting with a nice tall spine. And then slow, steady breaths. Noticing the quiet nature of your breath, even in the presence of external distraction. Noticing the sweet calm that lives inside, despite what might feel like the opposite of sweet calm all around. To the extent to which we can do anything about what's all around us, if we come from that place of cool, sweet calm, we will be more effective. And bring your palms together in front of your heart. May all beings be happy, free from suffering, and at peace. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day.